Good day, everyone. I am May Ella Barro, and today I will be discussing about the OBE Curriculum Framework. But before we dig deeper to the definition of the OBE Curriculum Framework, let us first know and discuss what is outcome-based education. Outcome-based education, or OBE, is an educational theory that bases each part of an educational system around what is essential for all the students to be able to do successfully at the end of their learning experiences. So, outcome-based education focuses on students achieving outcomes that includes the required attributes, the skills, and the qualities after undergoing the learning process through the OBE curriculum. So the attainment of the outcomes is a learning process that may temporarily vary from one student to the other, regarded as means and not the end objectives. According to William Spady, he defined OBE as clearly focusing and organizing everything in the educational system around the essential for all the students to do successfully at the end of the learning experiences. He also premised that in OBE, all students can learn and succeed, but not in the same time or in the same way. Another is that successful learning promotes even more successful learning. And also, he premised that in OBE, schools and teachers control the condition that will determine if the students are successful in school learning. So for the educational system to function effectively, so OBE framework is identified. So as you can see on the slide, uh, the illustration, that is how the OBE curriculum framework works. So the OBE curriculum framework guarantees that curriculum, strategies, teaching, and assessment tools are continuously enhanced through an evaluation process. So the methodology PDCA, or the plan, do, check, and act. This is a cycle that has been applied for optimum effectiveness and efficiency. So the framework adopts the OBTL implementation, which revolves around three important elements. First is the description of the intended learning outcomes, or the ILOs, in the form of a verb. So this verb is known as the learning activity, the objective or the content, and specification of the context and the standard the students are to attain. Second element is that creating a learning environment using teaching learning environment activities, or the TLAs, that address that verb or the learning activities and therefore are likely to bring about the intended outcome. And the third element is using assessment tasks, or the ATs, that also contain the learning activities, thus enabling the teacher to judge with the help of rubrics if and how well students' performances meet the criteria. The implementation of an outcome-based education, which promotes the practice of constructive alignment between outcomes, learning activities, and assessment tools, needs an environment where all stakeholders, which are the teachers, students, and the institutions, are engaged in the process of transformative reflection and constant action. So each of these participants, the teachers, the students, and the institution, reflects in interaction with the others in three domains: teacher and student, the teacher and institution, and student and institution that would have built in quality enhancement and mechanisms for not only assuring quality but for enhancing quality as well. So now let us move on to the characteristics of OBE curriculum. So the first characteristic of OBE curriculum is that it has program aims, program learning outcomes, course learning outcomes, and performance indicators. So having program aims, program learning outcomes, course learning outcomes, and performance indicators as characteristics of an OBE curriculum ensures that there is a clear focus on defining learning outcomes, aligning curriculum with those outcomes, and assessing student achievement effectively. Second characteristics we have, it is objective and outcome driven, where every stated objective and outcomes can be assessed and evaluated. So the objective and outcome driven nature of an OBE curriculum emphasizes clarity, accountability, and continuous improvement in education by ensuring that all learning objectives are measurable, accessible, and aligned with the overall goals of the program. Third characteristic of an OBE curriculum is that it is centered around the needs of the students and the stakeholders. So being centered around the needs of the students and stakeholders in an OBE curriculum ensures that education is purposeful, relevant, and responsive to the changing demands of the modern world, equipping students with the skills and competencies needed for success in their academic and professional journeys. And the last characteristic of an OBE curriculum is that every learning outcome is intentional, and therefore the outcomes must be assessed using suitable performance indicators. So by ensuring that every learning outcome is intentional and aligning them with suitable performance indicators for assessment, the OBE curriculum promotes clarity, accountability, and effectiveness in measuring student achievement. So this approach supports continuous improvement and helps educators tailor instruction to better meet the needs of individual learners. And now, let us discuss the four essential principles in outcome-based education. So the first principle in OBE is the clarity of focus. So what is this clarity of focus all about? So focus on what the students can do successfully. A clear focus on what teachers want the students to learn is the primary principle in OBE. So teachers should bear in mind that the outcome of teaching is learning. Clarity of focus in OBE ensures that educational goals are well defined, transparent, and aligned with students' needs and expectations. So this principle helps create a purposeful and effective learning environment that supports student achievement and continuous improvement in education. Second principle in OBE is designing down. So the curriculum design starts with a clear definition on what the students will achieve upon completing their formal education. So at the beginning of a curriculum design, the learning outcomes has to be clearly defined. So what to achieve at the end of formal schooling is determined at the beginning. So designing down in OBE promotes a systematic and purposeful approach to curriculum development, focusing on the alignment of learning outcomes, objectives, assessments, and instructional strategies to support student learning and achievements. This principle helps educators create meaningful and effective learning experiences that lead to successful student outcomes. The third principle in outcome-based education is high expectation. The lecturers set a high standard of achievement on the students. So establishing high expectations, challenging standards of performance will encourage students to learn better. So high expectation in OBE creates a culture of excellence, aspiration, and achievement within the educational environment. By challenging students to reach their full potential and providing the necessary support to succeed, educators empower students to excel academically and realize their goals. The last principle in OBE is the extended opportunity. So the lecturers provide enough opportunities for the students to succeed. In OBE, all students are expected to excel. Hence, equal expanded opportunities should be provided. So extended opportunity in OBE advocates for an inclusive, flexible, and supportive educational system that empowers all students to thrive and succeed. So by expanding access to diverse learning opportunities and fostering a culture of equity and inclusivity, educators can create a rich and rewarding educational experience for every student. So moving forward, how is teaching and learning in LB? How then should teaching and learning be done in OBE? Here are some tips. First, teachers must prepare students adequately. So this is about preparing the students to develop their skills for the successful learning journey. Another is that teacher must create a positive learning environment. So how does teachers create a positive learning environment? This is by making sure that students are seen and valued, and also that if students are able to express themselves and able to ask questions freely without judgment. Another tip is that teachers must help their students to understand what they have learned, what they have to learn, I mean, why they should learn it, and how will they know that they have learned. Next is that teacher must use a variety of teaching methods. We all know that students are diverse. Being said that, teachers must know how and what teaching methods should be applied when teaching in order to meet and cater the needs of every student. Another is that teacher must provide students with enough opportunities to use the knowledge and skills that they gain. And also teacher must help students to bring each learning to a persona, closure that will make them aware of what they learn. And now let us discuss the steps in designing an OBE learning program. So what are the steps in designing a learning program? First is by defining program outcomes. So the first step in designing an OBE learning program is to clearly define the program outcomes. So these outcomes should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. In short, these outcomes should be SMART. So they should reflect the knowledge, skills, and attitude that students should possess upon completion of the program. Second step in designing an OBE learning program is defining course outcomes. So once the program outcomes are defined, the next step is to design course outcomes that align with the program outcomes. So course outcomes are specific to individual courses within the program and should contribute to the overall achievement of the program outcomes. Third step in designing an OBE learning program is developing assessment methods. So assessment methods play a crucial role in OBE as they measure the extent to which students have achieved the desired outcomes. So it is important to use a variety of assessment methods to ensure a comprehensive evaluation of student learning. So some common assessment methods include written exams, practical assignments. Another is group projects, also presentations and portfolios. Next step is planning learning activities. So learning activities are the means through which students acquire the necessary knowledge and skills to achieve the desired outcomes. So these activities should be designed to engage students and promote active learning. So some examples of effective learning activities include lectures and presentations. Another is hands-on laboratory experiments. Another is case studies and problem-solving exercises, and also group discussions. And we can also include field trips and industry visits. And finally, the last step in designing an OBE learning program is implementing and evaluating or evaluation. So once the learning program is designed, it is time to implement it in the classroom. So teachers should deliver the planned learning activities and assess student performance based on the defined outcomes. So regular evaluation and feedback are essential to monitor student progress and make necessary adjustments to the program. So continuous improvement is a key aspect of outcome-based education. So what are the responsibilities of the learners in an OBE learning curriculum? So in OBE, students are responsible for their own learning and progress, as it is being reiterated by the teachers in the 21st century learning. Um, Nowadays, students should be the one who are responsible for their own learning because this curriculum is learner-centered, and the responsibility of the teachers is only to be a facilitator of the learning. Therefore, students should be the one responsible for their own learning and progress. And one of the great benefits of OBE is that it makes students aware of what they should be learning, why they are learning it, and why they are actually learning, and what they should do when they are learning. So all of these will conclude with the achieved learning outcomes. And for my conclusion, outcome-based education is a practical approach to develop the curriculum with inclusion of learning practices and focus on the students rather than teacher. So outcome-based education has many intrinsic benefits, which must make it an attractive model for educationalists involved in curriculum planning, curriculum developers, teachers, employers, and even students. So building a learning community that enhances the ownership of curriculum planning and reflective practice among its faculty will establish new opportunities for meaningful dialogue among peers, and also will facilitate the collective efforts of the institution in responding to the demand of accountability from accreditation agencies, as well as the public inquiry about the quality of teaching and learning in higher education. So to simply put all of these, the OBE curriculum plays a vital role in preparing students for the complexities of the modern world by fostering critical thinking, adaptability, collaboration, and lifelong learning skills. So by embracing the principles of OBE, educators can empower students to thrive in an ever-changing global landscape and contribute positively to society. So that ends my presentation about the OBE curriculum, and I hope that you have gained some insights from my discussion. Once again, I am May Ella Barro. Thank you for listening. Have a good day and God bless.